guys, Goody here, and welcome back to another Napoleon Total War battle. So sorry for the lack of uploads. I have just had a really busy week. So we are back. Now this replay was sent in to me by Guinea at work. Thank you very much for the replay. And this is going to be fought on Waterloo. So he's going to be in command of the Portuguese. Now the rules for this battle were no artillery, max 5 lights. And I think that's just because, you know, there's going to be a lot of camping going on this hill, and they're going to be at a huge disadvantage, so allowing no artillery is really going to even the odds. So for his main body, he's brought a ton of infantry. I don't see too many lights. He did bring some cazadores. Looks like they're hidden for the most part. I think he's brought 4. Taking a look at Russia. You can see he's going to be in the center now. He's got some Semenovsky, very elite. He's got some Moscow Musketeers, Life Guard of Foot, a lot of Musketeers, got some Russian Jaegers. And then finally we have Prussia. He's in his fancy formation right now. He's got 5 Prussian Fusiliers, a ton of Musketeers, and it looks like 3 Foot Guards, and then finally 2 Dragoons in the back. He has a General Staff. The Russian player has a General Staff, and it looks like, ooh, we got a general here, Luis. So Luis is going to be in command of the Portuguese. So facing Guinea is going to be the French, and he's going to be okay, so it looks like he's brought a ton of light infantry. He's got some old guard, young guard. He didn't go too heavy on the light force. I think he brought a total of 4 lights, but we will see. And a look at Britain, he is really thick in terms of light infantry. Ton of light infantry, actually. He's got some foot, Highland foot, yeah, a lot of foot actually. He's got some fencible units, some light foot. So not too many light infantry, but Britain is really good in light infantry, and he didn't bring any cavalry, so we will see how that works. And then finally we have the French player. He's going to be on the far left flank. He's going to be in command of some Chachevants. He's got some Polish Legion, some National Guard, and like I said before, him and the British player really didn't bring any lights, unless these guys are hidden, but I do not see that. So, actually, excuse me, Guinea at Work's going to be in command of Prussia, excuse me, got that mixed up. So he's going to be pushing up with Prussia. You can see the French player now is going to start claiming these buildings. Now this is going to make it really difficult for the attackers to really assault this hill effectively, just because these guys are going to be inside and providing some flanking fire. Meanwhile, the rest of the light infantry are going to set up along the ridge. But with no artillery, it allows the attackers time to push up, so they're just walking. As to where if it was against artillery, they would have to really, you know, spread their forces out and run their guys, so they get tired pretty quickly. But look at this Portuguese army. I mean, this is such a massive army, consisting of a lot of light infantry. Looks like he's got like 4 lines thick of just pure light infantry. But only Russia and Prussia on the Allied side brought cavalry. So we will see. Cavalry's not going to be a huge, you know, necessity this game. Here goes another Polish Legion getting into position. They're going to set up defenses along this ridge, and we're just going to wait for this assault to come. So it looks like they're all going to be forming up. I'm actually going to fast forward. You can see Guinea pushing up his forces right now. Now he does not have the light range, so he's going to have to either get in range very quickly or send some cavalry his way. So here's the British lights, a little stranded out in the middle of nowhere. And here comes some cavalry, but they're going to get some really nice shots off on that cav, bringing them down to 33 guys. Smart move here. He's going to fall back and you know, take protection from these other lights. Looks like the Prussian player notices that, so he's going to be falling back. He did take some losses, but no light losses, so that is good. So good move there by Britain, using that skirmish tactic to shoot and then run back. Up on the hill, it looks like British, the French are going to be assisting with their voltigeurs, and you see the guys in the houses are now firing, getting some really nice flanking fire, bringing that unit down to 73 guys. But now the Prussians are going to respond and get their shots in on those rifles. The rifles are standing, so they're going to be getting shot in the back, and they're going to be suffering quite a lot of losses. Meanwhile, these French line infantry are continuing to open up on the flank. So it looks like the Prussian player is going to kite to counter that. And here comes his main line infantry. You can see them storming straight up the battlefield. But look at this firepower just coming out of this building right now. Ton of volleys you can see in the distance over there. The French just watching this engagement. And wow, they claimed all 3 buildings. So it's going to be very, very hard. And you can just see the amount of reserves that the enemy troops have. So many enemy troops. But the battle has commenced. Forces are now pushing up. Looks like the Prussian player is getting a little too far ahead of himself. Doesn't have the support of his allies. You see them back there. So he's kind of doing this attack on him, by himself right now. But look at this. Very smart move here. He's going to be sending in his most elite troops to try and clear this building. You see they're getting very close. Actually managed to breach, but they are taking some serious losses as they come in. You can just see the streak of bodies as they float or come into the house. Officer is now dead, and now the Prussians are going to be storming the building. Not looking good for the Swiss foot and Polish Legion inside that house, even though they still are getting some volleys off. You see, really, this is why it's always nice to, have a courtyard, is because these guys can still fire. Like, this guy right here is probably going to get killed from gunfire. Let's check this out. Yep, that guy just got shot. That guy got stabbed. Very, very violent. But this is pretty much... Oh, wow. Okay, so got a cavalry charge now coming in. Could not form squares, so that musketeer unit is in some trouble right now, as well as these lights that are behind. Looks like Russia's going to be pushing up, but it is a full-on bloodbath right now. Lights are pretty much the only units engaging on the enemy forces. The Old Guard are now engaging, but having the hill is really going to mean a lot for these enemy forces. They're going to be able to really capitalize on their volleys. And look at this. Prussia desperately trying to protect his flank, but you see the morale is really dropping. Let's put up the mini-map. A lot of routing blue troops right here on the right flank, and it is just not looking good. The defenders are just really, really dug in right now. Even though they have, people in the building, and these guys are foot guards, their morale is really not doing so well. They've suffered quite some casualties, but Swiss foot and the Polish Legion holding strong with only 30 guys. So this assault has failed on the right flank. You can see the stream of bodies or men running away. And that cav unit of chasseurs really did a devastating blow to these musketeers. And like I said, more line infantry are going to be brought into this engagement. This time it's going to be the foot guard. Now, really good move here with the enemy forces. They're actually staggering their units, so usually line infantry or light infantry would be in front of the line infantry, but since they are on a hill, they're going to be able to shoot over the heads of this line infantry, and it's going to allow many more volleys to be fired. And these musketeers, I mean, they are not only do they don't have the hill advantage, but they don't have the numbers, they don't have the manpower or firepower, excuse me. But here we go. Russia's going to try and do something here. It's going to be charging in his cavalry into the Young Guard. Young Guard did not see that coming, could not form square, and here we go. So really good charge here on these chasseurs, hoping to break those guys, and this is going to allow a lot of... Ooh, wow, okay, so looks like the Portuguese are now really pushing up. Only issue with that is the way he's staggering his troops. He's suffering quite some casualties right here, or a decent amount. He shouldn't be losing that many. Even though these guys could kind of shoot over the heads, they are occasionally shooting friendlies. So that is not good. But over here on the left flank, you can see Portugal has such a force that it looks like France is forced to fall back right now. But over here on the right flank, pretty much the only force that is holding strong right now is in this building. And you see there's still a really, really bloody engagement going on. First and second floor, it is just hectic, complete bloodbath in there. But luckily, on the enemy side, the French are now here, and they're going to be kiting or pushing the Allied forces backwards. So you can kind of see what's happening. Let me pause the game real quick. So you can see on the right flank, a lot more blue is routing right now. and he's going to be able to get flanked. Now, over here, the Portugal is doing a really, really good job. You see, he's starting to push up on this hill right now, and you see the Reds are now starting to break, so it's kind of like a clock. I mean, it's just like they're rotating in such a way, if that makes any sense. Probably not. But still, look at this. Only one unit of Post Legion, and they managed to break not only one foot guard unit, but, you know, the other are in red. But here comes more troops. There goes another foot guard unit, and there goes the final foot guard unit. So the house is still claimed by the French. And, wow, okay, it looks like the general staff is going to be charged in. I don't know if I would want to do that. I mean, he did take out a couple guys, but he's really risking his general right now. But luckily, he did manage to get away. Meanwhile, Russia is going to be continuing to push. But look at how many units are in this building compared to the French. They are just overwhelming these guys. Let's take a look inside. Actually shooting inside the building. You see them climbing up the ladder right now. But this house is really defended well by some young guard and old guard, so it is going to be a really bloody battle in there. Even though the French don't have the numbers, they definitely have the skill to keep up with a lot of those Portuguese players, or units. So now the French player seems to have given the Portuguese some part of the hill. You see, he's really outnumbered right now, but he's doing a really good job of spreading out as to where the Portuguese player really isn't. He should be, you know, spreading out his lights, but the firepower is really, really immense right now. Devastating those French troops. You see them running away now, forced to pull back even further. So, I mean, it's just kind of back and forth. But here we go. It looks like the Russian player did inspire his guys, and they're going to be going inside the house. Now, it looks like the house is now controlled by the Allies. They are you know, have claimed it, so they're going to be shooting back at these British. You see them shooting in there. Got the Russians now engaging, and they're going to be shooting these guys. You see the guys dropping right there. But on the right flank, Russia is pretty much the only guy left on the side. You know, Guinea is pretty much out of this engagement. He does have a couple units here and there. But other than that, he is pretty much gone. So now the Russian player not only has to take care of the center, but also the right. Meanwhile, the Portuguese are pushing up, but this did give time for France to reform and really thicken up his line units. And you can see Britain still has reserves, ton of cavalry still. So this battle is nowhere near over. Right now, the Allies are now losing the balance bar in terms of power. I think they've always been losing. You see General Staff looking off into the distance, watching the engagement as it continues. I guess some Russian, or excuse me, British lights now pushing up. But right now, Russia should probably be falling back even further. I mean, he's doing a really good job of kiting back because he knows he just doesn't have the numbers to keep up with those guys. So it's pretty much all down to the Portuguese. They still have a very healthy army, but he's not spreading out, and it's going to cost him quite a bit, even though he's really causing a lot of devastation with those lights. You see, you guys are just dropping left and right. So using the range to his advantage, something you always want to do if you have it. And here we go. We got some young guard now, and they're going to get slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. Can't even get a volley off. They're getting mowed down that quickly. We got some Polish Legion now engaging. Let's take a look here. It looks like they captured another building, so those old guard and young guard did break, and that's going to free up quite a bit of units, but you see by the numbers they did suffer a lot of losses. Very costly. You see the young guard are now running, and they're going to be getting shot at as they run. Down to 3 guys now. Oh no. Okay, let's take a look. What general has died? Looks to be... honestly can't tell you. I think it was the Prussian general. I'm not 100% sure though. But looking over here, it looks like we got some National Guard up against some Russian Jaegers and Musketeers. You know, the Musketeers should easily win that, but it's going to keep the fire, you know, away from a lot of these French lines. So smart move there by the enemy. But right now, Russia's doing a good job getting some nice flanking fire, and he's really dwindling down the enemy forces. You see, he's kind of creating a U-shapes right now, and that's going to be very helpful. overall. And he does have some cavalry in reserve, so if he sees an opportunity to strike, he will do so. Russia still holding on to the building. Not by much, though. They managed to break that National Guard. Those guys are running. So, I mean, the enemy is trying desperately to claim back this building, because if they're able to claim back this building, they're going to be able to kind of separate the two forces and kind of, separate the Russians on the right side and the Portuguese on the other side. So, looks like Britain's going to send another unit that way. We will see how effective that goes. And look at this. We got a French cavalry charge. Russians were prepared, but look at this. They're actually going to go for the Russian general in it right now. So 37 Chasseurs up against some general staff. Not too sure how that's going to be going, but look at this. Russia's going to counter with some hussars. Don't know why the Russian general's running with the Chasseurs, but we do have a cavalry clash in the back. The general himself is going to be fighting this engagement and waiting on these hussars to back him up. Meanwhile, wow, okay, so it looks like the French player really bailed on the British player right now. And he's going to be going into this barn. I really don't see why he would do this, because you need as many guys here. So Britain is kind of left on his own right now. You see the other French players busy at work with these Russians on this far left flank. So I don't know why he would do this. I don't know if he felt like they were losing and he needed to pull back for, a last defense, but I don't see the reason why. He has a ton of elite troops. I mean, he's got Young Guard just sitting here doing nothing, so not looking good. Going to cause a lot of issues for this British as they try to hold back this horde of Portuguese. And the Portuguese are just really not losing many guys now. Even though their formation is extremely thick and you never want to do that, it is still somehow, in their benefit. So this can be a huge upset if this happens, and it looks like these guys are now going to be from this building transferring over to the next building, reinforcing these Russians and hopefully breaking the rest of these British forces. You can see this 1-foot unit really low on guys, but morale is extremely high for the British right now. 29 guys, morale is green. So but over here, Russia managed to hold its ground right now. Extremely surprised that they had a huge force here. But it looks like they're just shifting units over just because this French player over here decided to fall back at an unnecessary time. So now it's going to leave these two other enemy forces to deal with this massive Portuguese force. And it's going to leave, these Russians back here, and they're going to be able to hold their ground now. So by huge mistake here by this French player, it cost them a ton of guys. I mean, it pretty much shifted the entire game right now. You see the balance of power is almost even. Looks like the French are going to go in for a cavalry charge. Portuguese are prepared and are going to form a mass square, but these cazadores cannot form squares, so they're going to be charged into. But with these guys in square, it's going to allow the old guard now to get some nice volleys off. Now, even though the French player does not have that many troops, the old guard are going to make up for it greatly. Let's check out this volley. These guys are just so devastating. I guess they're not going to fire. You see this one poor militia unit stuck in the middle. Those guys are going to be gone. But the Russian force, very depleted, but they do have a lot of units. Occasionally, they do have some high units. Some lines are pretty healthy. But you can see the French player is now going to be forced back, like I said, as well as the British, back to the helm. And still, I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. 8 extremely healthy units not engaged in this conflict. And it's just going to cost them so much. Looks like we got some fencibles charging into the infantry. Looks like the Portuguese are going to fall back now. Looks like they're going to reform, seeing that they are facing Old Guard. He is thickening his lines, so that is good, but still, he's at a huge disadvantage. You might actually just pull back to, get that light infantry range and just deplete those guys at a distance without losing any guys. But by doing that, it's going to allow Russia to kind of push up now, uncontested. These guys, looks like we got some militia. Yep. So these guys are really going to have an easy time assaulting this hill. You can see these guys are pretty much running off now, chasing after those Portuguese. Portuguese are pretty much drawing the entire enemy force away from the Russians. You can see some Portuguese forces still inside the building with some Russians, so they're going to be holding strong there. But the Portuguese are going to reform. But look at this, 3 Old Guard chasing down this entire Portuguese army. Just shows you how devastating Old Guard can be at certain points. So he's going to reform with his Cazadores, even though he won't have the light range, just because those Old Guard are just running non-stop at them. They're going to get some really, really nice first volleys if they haven't reloaded. Yep, there they go. Those bodies are going to drop so quickly. You know, Cazador's accuracy is really accurate. Almost the same as the Old Guard. Only issue is Old Guard can fire at a faster rate, but the Portuguese can make up for it because it's pretty much a 5-on-1 right now. And that unit with almost 80, 90 guys of Old Guard is instantly down to the 40s and now almost into the 30s. Same over here. Old Guard really healthy, down to 60 now. This unit though is doing pretty well. You can see he's only facing 3 line infantry, and these guys are really clustered, so he should have a pretty easy time winning that, or at least, you know, taking out a lot of guys. But man, that Old Guard, 11 guys now. So Cazador is really doing a good job now. We have the British general now charging into Luis, and looks like he's going to be trying to run away for dear life. He's going to try and send his men towards the general staff, but it looks like the British general is not giving up, and he's going to try and continue to charge. But that was an absolute failure on the British part, and the general, I believe, yep, this is the general, him right here. Will he make it out? Just needs 1 bullet to hit him. Running right next to the Portuguese infantry, saying his farewells and heading off on his own way back to Britain. So he did manage to get away, and even if his general did die, it's not too important, just because the British are pretty much out of this battle right now, and it is now down to the French against the Portuguese. So they're going to be reforming now, but the tide has somewhat changed. You can see balance bar, excuse me, is now in the Allies' favor, and they are going to be having a hill advantage here and overlooking that barn. Now the only issue is there's a ton of elite troops in this barn, so you might have to use his light infantry to kind of skirmish and kill off these, you know, units that can't fit in, because this barn is at maximum capacity right now. We got some units now firing. But right now, things have calmed down. The second part of the engagement is about to continue. You can see the Jaegers are now going to be forming up on this Polish Legion. They're going to send a devastating volley their way. They go, dropping quite a few guys there. But they're going to be skirmishing, going to fast forward. And like I said, guys, I have no clue who's going to win this engagement. First time seeing it. So here comes the Portuguese. Their light infantry. Got this poor Polish Legion unit all by himself trying to charge into some Cazadors. Not gonna work. They're getting completely slaughtered right now. Oh man, it is just a field day for these guys. Another day at the shooting range. Oh man, they are just getting wiped right now. Completely clean. Unit completely gone. Oh, what a... Cazadors have quite the accuracy. But they do need to be cautious of ammunition, because they still have a huge force to deal with inside this barn. If only artillery was allowed, this building would be under some serious attack. Looks like the French are going to be some decorations on the top of the barn. Looks like they're one with the barn sticking through the woods. But we got some Old Guard now. Cazadors should be keeping their range, but they do have the numbers, so it looks like he's just going to stick and engage. Old Guard just getting destroyed. They're actually going to be getting flanked by some line infantry on the far right. Captain is... Oh, no, he's not dead. That was the flute. Let's see if the captain dies. Down. Oh, there he goes. Captain is gone. Got the flag bearer running off. And then we got the other Old Guard unit now engaged. Looks like we have the drummer boy. He's still alive. He's going to be drumming away. Not scared. But will a bullet? Yes, a bullet will take his life as well. So there's pretty much no other units that are outside the barn at this point other than some cavalry and the 2 generals that are behind it. So this is going to be interesting. I'm not too sure how they're going to attack this, because once you are in the building, there is a 90 range, or 100 range, so you get that extra 30 yards or 20 yards. So I'm going to fast forward here. But they do have a lot of skill inside this building. Young Guard, Swiss Foots, Young Guard, Chasseurs, Polish Legion. But the Allied forces are just, there's so many of them. It's crazy. Oh, look at this. We got the French Lancers trying to run and charge into these Jaegers, but they're just going to get destroyed as they come across the fields. You can see just the pathway of dead horses. Looks like the Old Guard are firing, or excuse me, Swiss Foot. So it looks like they're going to set up a perimeter around the side of the barn. At least on the left flank, he's got some Jaegers and line infantry. But here comes the assault, guys. Here comes the Portuguese marching, because they don't like running. So they're going to be marching up. Kind of reminds me of the Battle of the Alamo right here. Just a ton of forces marching towards the building. But here we go. We got some cover fire from some cazadores. Not going to be killing too many, because this wall is going to protect a lot of lives. But look at this. Pretty much all the units are now going to be firing inside the barn, but here they come, actually shooting at the Hussars. Don't know why the Hussars are charging. Maybe they want to go to the general. Yep, they're going to try and go to the general, but they do die. So it looks like the Portuguese are going to be sending in the units that are out of ammunition right now. And the engagement has begun. So, like I said previously, there is a courtyard, so these guys will be able to shoot down and hit a lot of these cazadores as they try to enter. Meanwhile, the people in the courtyard are going to try and hold them back and, you know, keep them from entering as long as possible. Oh, looks like the French general, sending guys flying right now. Still at 7 guys, but they're going to be shot at by some line infantry. But they do break that 1 infantry unit. But if the general does die, it's going to cost him a lot. You see, he is right there. I do not think he's going to make it out, and there he goes. He is dead. So the French general is now dead. Morale, you see, has dropped pretty quickly, at least for 1 unit. The rest are pretty strong. So right now, it is a complete bloodbath. You can see some cazadores have broke. That is to be expected. They are just going to be the force that gets them inside of the barn. But right now, the Allies are having a tough time breaching, even though they do have a ton of units in here. The French do outnumber them, and they do outskill them as of now for the people that are entering. Looks like the cazadores are making it underneath now, getting pretty deep into the barn. A couple have made it in. But they are going to start dying. You see only 1 cazador is left. There he goes. Let's try to check upstairs. Looks like there's an engagement up here as well. Looks like the Portuguese have made it upstairs to try and engage them, as well as the Russians. So we will see how this engagement goes, but they're having a tough time breaching right now. And no one has made it to the rooftop just yet. But you see still a ton of forces are in the courtyard, still continuing to fight it out. Young Guard in conflict with them. A lot of deaths, and look at that, another general is dead this time. Wow, the French general managed to kill, looks like, the Russian general, so that's going to really hurt the morale of the Russians. You can see all of them are orange, only one of them is green, so that's going to hurt them as well. We have some more cazadores being pushed in right now. Numbers are getting pretty low for the people inside the building, so they're going to have to resupply, but they have pretty much cleared the stairwell of troops. But it looks like the routing troops, they are routing now downstairs, so that is not good, leaving these Russians pretty much all alone right now. And the Russians do not have many guys, so they're going to be suffering a lot of losses. You see only 2 units are in this building right now, and yeah, 3 units now. So 3 units up against some fairly healthy British or French troops. And you see just the mass rout of troops. Still trying to send in more units. I got Luis here trying to inspire his men. But look at these forces just running out of this building. They are trying to clear this wall here. Still a lot of guys inside the courtyard, enemy and friendly, but they're going to continue to push up, back up to the stairwell. So pretty much, for the most part, the first floor is pretty much cleared of enemy troops. This right side, there still is a decent amount, but the majority of the forces are upstairs right now, and on the third floor. Fierce combat right now in the courtyard. But I believe... Okay, they're just line of infantry, but you can see 3 units up against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. There is a conflict out here. It looks like the general really doing a good job in breaking a lot of those Russian troops. So there's not many reserves now, and it's going to come down to this final engagement inside the building. So no more reinforcements. These guys are going to need to be sent upstairs. Not going to worry too much about the guys outside. There are only a few of them left. So there is no more engaging. This guy got choked. So no more engaging in the courtyard. The rest is going to be here on the second floor. Wow. Did they? Wow. Okay, so the French only have 1 unit left at this point, and they are on the top floor. They're going to be getting shot at by these Russians. So they are the only units left. But somehow these guys have not reached the third floor yet. They have claimed a lot of the second floor here as well. Morale is getting very bad for this Polish Legion, but they do have half health, so... It looks like the Portuguese are going to assume defensive positions on these first floors. Oh, here they come. The first of the Allied troops made it to the third floor now. They're going to continue to push and make their way one at a time, knocking that guy over and just causing a chain reaction of guys to move over. Pretty funny. These guys looks to be just staring at one another. Looks like they don't really want to engage right now. Still an engagement on the second floor. We got some people shooting right now. Still some French units over there. Choking him out. Oh, man. But the Allied forces, there are a lot. Third floor, though, not too much is happening. We got some more Russians now pushing in. But that French general is just being so annoying to these Allied forces right now. Just breaking so many units right now. So, still an engagement on the second floor. Right over here. Looks to be, 13 guys. Ooh, shooting, point blank, missing. And there goes the French general and probably the morale. So now they're coming up now. The Russians have made it to the third floor. They're going to be taking a lot of losses as well. Man, getting stabbed. I love these kill animations. Very, very cool. But these Russians are militiamen, so they aren't going to be, you know, that great in melee skill, and they're just dying one after another. Man, these French are really holding out right now. Morale's getting very bad, but they should break any moment now. Those Russian militiamen did break. This Polish Legion is just not giving up right now. Fighting for Napoleon. Oh, now they're starting to get overrun right now. A lot of guys are now making it up to the third floor. Second floor, 2 guys remain on this side. Looks like 1 guy over here, but they're getting mowed down. This guy's reloading point blank in front of an enemy. I want to see if he can shoot him. That'd be pretty cool to see. Now it's just down to the final Frenchie on the second floor. But I think those guys have broken. Oh! Looks like he shot his own guy. That would be pretty cool to see. But there goes the final French unit. took forever with the second floor. They're just getting wiped right now. So thank you for the replay. Really appreciate it. You see the stats right there. Portuguese player doing a phenomenal job. Almost 2,000 kills. And then for the enemy, also great job. So pretty much everyone did an excellent job. Let's look at these stats. For the Prussian player, you see 109 kills by the Musketeers, not too bad. Surprised the Foot Guards didn't do so well. They were in house-to-house combat, so I thought they'd be doing a little bit better. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Sorry for the lack of uploads recently. Like I said, I've just been busy. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.